we have somehow managed, in spite of history, in spite of everything, to conserve this culture. And now the aim of the Masala tour is to share this culture with the whole of Britain, to remove the copyright and actually connect it with everyday British problems and experiences.
Because you're right, it does transcend, empires have risen and fallen, ideas have risen and fallen, but it is an idea that transcends political changes and the like, and the influence certainly of the culture from the Indian subcontinent as a whole on England is, well, it's apparent in many ways.
Absolutely.
And also in perhaps ways that aren't quite so obvious, from yoga teachers to Indian takeaways.
Absolutely. I mean, because the history of the relationship between Britain and India, it goes back. It goes back to the time of the Raj, really. And actually, Britain fell in love with India, and in a way. But then the outcome of that love affair was to try to control India and colonize India. But now, of course, the hands are off, and in fact, actually, the tables are almost turned. But hey, India is not after power, even today, In fact, the whole Indian psyche and approach is not power over others, but power over the self. And therefore, actually, if we can control ourselves, if we can control our own vices and lead a disciplined life, we will actually realize true freedom, freedom which lasts. I mean, Dr. Nick Maurice is an example of somebody who has experienced a taste of this culture and wisdom. He's done several charity projects in India. Imagine a fully qualified doctor. He could stay here and earn hundreds of thousands of pounds, but he decided to join the VSO and go abroad to serve people, in underprivileged countries. And we hear this all the time when people go out to India, even to do charity work. They are absolutely transformed by the experience, because this wisdom is still alive. Even the poor people may be poor, they still have a smile on their face. They still have this thread of culture, and the festivals are colorful. There is color everywhere. There is food. There is hospitality. There is warmth. And all those values are still alive, and those are the values which Britain has somehow seems to have lost, But hey, we are here, we are maintaining those values in our temples and community centers and complexes and in our lived experience. I mean, Indian doctors are the largest ethnic doctors in this country. 20% of the profession would be Indian origin. So that's an example.
As you say, there are influences. That are very, very apparent. You can argue whether or not it is Indian food or not, but it is famously a couple of years ago that chicken tikka became the #1 dish in England, more than fish and chips. Nick Maurice, you've visited India. You've invited Dr. Shah here. That influence, it's on. Science fiction is on more than one level. Did you go to India and fall in love with the place?
Oh, absolutely. I went there. I was very privileged to go to India. I didn't actually go. I went as a volunteer, but not specifically to sort of get my hands on a project. I was at the time a trustee of Oxfam and was chairman of Oxfam's Asia Committee, and it was in that capacity that I went to visit India several times to look at some of the projects run by Indians but supported very much by Oxfam, and saw real extremes of poverty as well as seeing real extremes of wealth in India. I mean, talk about diversity of opportunity and diversity of wealth in India. You see really great poverty as well as great wealth. But it was an extraordinary experience, and I met with the most fantastic people in India, people of extreme intellect, and came away personally enriched by the experience of being in India. But I spent 2 years as a doctor in Nepal, next door, working for a small charity in East Nepal, working in the field of tuberculosis control. And I often say that the experience that I had in Nepal, in terms of my professional development, was probably much more important than the experience that I had at St Mary's Hospital, Paddington. As a medical student, I learnt much more as a doctor in Nepal working there than I ever did at St Mary's Hospital.
So how does it going to work, do you think, the other way around? There are huge numbers of cultural influences that certainly exist in this country. Are there still things that we know as a country, though, that we can benefit from ideologies, religions, philosophies, the sort of the psyche, if you like, that comes from?
Oh, I have absolutely no doubt about that at all. And the work that we do now in the organisation that I run, which is entitled BUILD, which stands, the acronym is Building Understanding Through International Links for Development, is really to provide people with opportunities to spend time in other countries, particularly the countries of what we call the Global South, otherwise called developing countries, although I don't really like that term because I think we're all developing in different ways. But it's to provide opportunities through the development of partnerships between schools, between local authorities, between hospitals here in the UK with counterparts in the Global South. Because it seems to me that by sitting down under a mango tree with people from different cultures, different faiths, looking at things in a different perspective, we can learn a huge amount. I'm going to give you one example. Through the link that Marlborough has had, and which I've been very involved in, with the Muslim community of Gunjur. I mean, you go to Gunjur, has no electricity, it has no running water, it has no sanitation system. So what you might describe as a poor community in material terms, but in terms of the social wealth of that community, the way that the extended family system works, the way in which people are so interdependent, the way in which the community works, we've lost all that in this country, I'm afraid. You know, our families scatter to all parts of the world, and we don't have that ability, for example, to look after our elderly in the ways that people in Africa and India do. I mean, it is absolutely intrinsic part of the culture that you look after primarily your family. We've lost all that, I'm afraid. And when Gambians come over to visit us in Marlborough, they are deeply shocked when we take them to, for example, old people's homes and introduce them to them. And they say, why aren't they being looked after by their families? And it raises questions, and it makes you reflect on our own society. And I think this is really important.
Is that part then, Dr. Shah, of what the Masala tour that you're on at the moment is hoping to do? How are you practically going to try and sort of bring these ideas to bear?
What we have done in the Masala tour, and we've been traveling for over 2 weeks now, is to travel to different parts of the country and show the living India in Britain, all the dimensions: business, community, professional life, leadership, and of course the community centers and the temples. And what we are finding is actually some of the best new buildings in this country are being built by the Indians. They are very beautiful. They are open and welcoming places to all. There are 350 Sikh gurudwaras in this country, and you know, one of the religions of the Sikh tradition is to feed the visitor, and you know, there are kitchens all over the country open to anybody of any color, any race, you know, free of charge, to have a freshly cooked, home cooked vegetarian meal in this country, you know, and not a penny of taxpayers' money. So these cultures and these traditions and these values and virtues are still so alive. I was just now, I drove down from Oxford, where the Brahma Kumaris have a global retreat center. It's a 50-acre greenfield site across the Thames, just 5 miles from Oxford, in the village of Newnham Courtney. And this global retreat center I've been associated with ever since its inception, and people from all over the world come here to learn about the connections between culture, spirituality, health, and leadership. And it's unbelievable, from the time you actually arrive to the time you leave, the way you're cared for in this place, the kinds of facilities they've developed, how it's completely run by volunteers, but it is absolutely spotless. It is maintained much better than any 5-star hotel. It's got facility for about 100 guests at a time. You know, the meals are served 3 times a day, vegetarian, fresh cooked food. And you know, and the spirit is still alive, and the courses that they run, and everything is free. All their courses and training are free all over the UK. They have something like 30 centers all over the UK, you know, and everything is free. And they teach meditation, positive thinking. I mean, all the kinds of things that Nick just touched about.
It invites in in I think in sort of cynical old world European kind of way, it invites a certain degree of cynicism, doesn't it? That people say, well, why are you giving this away for free? People in this culture only give things away for free when they want something from you. Is that a barrier that people will think, hello, I'm going to end up in some kind of cult here, there's something stranger going on? Because it seems almost too good to be true. It invites that cynical reaction that says, why would you give all this away for free?
Mark, I wish we were cynical about the newspapers writing about the celebrities. You know, I mean, there is cynicism.
We are on this show.
Cynicism, you know, and really, I think let people go and see for themselves, you know, but at least go with an open eye, you know, and discover for yourself, because who else is doing this kind of thing for you for free? You know, if they are, then go there, you know. But I'm just saying, it's not just about the free thing, it's also about the spirit, it's about the whole spiritual wealth of India, you know, and the timelessness of that wealth, you know, that this science is still alive. It's actually not even a religion, it's a science. It's
I think that's a very interesting point that you make there about it not being a religion. I used to live near the Hindu mandir in Brent Park in North London, which is an extraordinary building, an absolutely eye-wateringly beautiful thing. And it's just an incredible piece of marble. It's just a fabulous thing. I used to live there. I used to go and visit that quite a lot because it was just such an extraordinary thing to see. But one of the things that from talking to, doing a little bit of research and from talking to friends, is that there is a fine line between what is a philosophy, a way of life, a sense of spirituality, and a religion. There is, for example, as I understand, certainly in Jainism, no supreme being as such. There is no creator of the universe, no one God. It hasn't got that kind of hierarchy that churches often have. That it's much more personal, if you like. It's about your discovery.
Very democratic.
Yes.
And therefore very accessible, actually, in that way. I think the thing is, I'd like, if you want to follow the Masala tour and actually see these stories for yourself, see these interviews, see some of the places we've visited, then all you need to do is just Google Masala tour. We've created a YouTube channel for it, so all the films are on YouTube. You can watch them. We've created a whole website where there are articles about the Masala tour, and where there are different stories there which you can follow. And really, what all we are saying is, welcome. You know, welcome to the India and Britain. There is no cost, and instead we are open to share that wisdom with you, and actually we hope that you will find not just some happiness somewhere further down the line, but instantly, and it can help you resolve your practical personal problems here and now. And I think some of you already have experienced this hospitality in the Indian takeaways that you have attended, or the restaurant that you've been to, maybe even like your example of going to the Swaminarayan Hindu temple in Neasden, for example. You know that when you go there, you don't feel intimidated, you don't feel different, you're showered with love and warmth, and enjoy that, because I feel that's sometimes as a society we lose that, and this is catchy, this is inspirational, and this
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, opening yourself up to it and finding out for yourself, it's funny, Nick, it kind of defies the cynicism of it. But once you go, I mean, did you find that once you do go and have a look for yourself, or take travel in India extensively, it's very difficult to be cynical about it?
Yeah, no, I agree, absolutely. I also think that the benefits that you personally get very often, in fact always, I think, are much greater than anything that you can ever give. So when you go and, I mean, when Atul is talking about the love and the charity, if you like, that is being, actually the benefits you get from being in that situation and being able to give that love and that charity, I think outweigh anything that you give to other people.
It's extremely happy places. In my experience, these are extremely happy places to be, and you find perhaps a happy place, I say, of your own as well. Masala is Masala, Masala tour. Google that. But say Atul K. Shah is also on Twitter, on Facebook, and they've got their own website and a phone number as well, which I'll give out in a few moments' time, because you'll need to write that down. But Dr. Atul K. Shah's Epic Masala Tour of Britain, as it is on at the moment. And